In the sweltering summer of 1842, deep in the cotton fields of Georgia, there stood a plantation so vast it seemed to swallow the horizon itself. Rows of white cotton shimmered under the relentless sun like fallen snow, beautiful from afar, but hiding something far darker beneath. At the center of it all lived a woman. Her name was Elelanena Whitfield, and she ruled her land like a queen, with no king. After her husband, Thomas Whitfield, died suddenly from fever, everything fell into her hands: the estate, the fortune, and over 200 enslaved souls. The neighbors whispered behind closed doors. A woman, alone, running something so massive. It wasn't natural, but Elelanena didn't care about whispers. She believed something far more dangerous. She believed her bloodline was chosen. At first glance, the Whitfield plantation ran like clockwork. Workers labored from sunrise until the cicadas screamed into the night. Overseers barked orders. The cotton gins roared endlessly. And above it all, Elelanena watched, still, silent, cold as marble. But inside that grand white mansion, something twisted was taking shape. Every night she sat alone in her late husband's study, staring at his portrait, then at another, her 5 daughters, beautiful, graceful, perfect by any ordinary standard, but not to her. They have my beauty, she would whisper, but not his strength. To Elelanena, strength meant control, power, dominance, and soon that belief turned into obsession. Among the countless workers on her land, one man stood apart. His name was Josiah, tall, broad-shouldered, quiet. There was something in his eyes, something unbreakable. He had been taken from Virginia years before, torn from his family, but he carried himself differently. Calm, watchful, the kind of calm that made even overseers uneasy. The first time Elelanena noticed him, it wasn't desire, it was calculation. Within weeks, everything changed. Josiah was moved closer to the main house, given lighter work, watched more closely. The servants noticed, they always did, and they whispered, because nothing Elelanena Whitfield did was ever without reason. Then one night, standing before her mirror, candlelight flickering across her aging face, she made a decision that would damn her forever. The Whitfield name will not die, she murmured. Her plan was unspoken, unnatural, and irreversible. From that moment on, Josiah was no longer just a worker. He became the center of something far darker. At first, the orders seemed harmless. Fix the roof, carry wood, serve dinner. But Elelanena's gaze lingered too long. Her words carried weight no one dared question. Even her daughters began to feel it. Fear. Marian, the eldest, sensed the truth first. What you're doing, it isn't right, she told her mother one night. Elelanena didn't even look up. What is right, she replied calmly, is what ensures this family survives. At any cost. That was the moment everything began to fall apart. The house grew quieter. The laughter disappeared. Servants stopped talking freely. The daughters avoided eye contact. Even the air itself felt heavier, like the walls were holding their breath. And Josiah, he understood. He wasn't chosen for kindness. He was chosen for something else. When he finally spoke, it was quiet, but it shook the room. No one owns my soul. That single sentence changed everything. From that moment, Elelanena stopped seeing him as useful. She began seeing him as a threat. The whispers spread beyond the plantation. A widow, a slave, a plan too disturbing to name. Even neighbors avoided her road, but Elelanena didn't stop. She only pushed further until one night, everything broke. Candles filled the parlor. White dresses were forced upon her daughters. The air was suffocating with tension. Josiah stood in silence. Elelanena stepped forward. It's time. But before she could continue, no. Marianne's voice cut through the room like a blade. What followed wasn't just rebellion. It was the beginning of the end. That night, under thunder and rain, escape began. Feet pounded through mud. Breath turned to panic. The storm swallowed their footsteps. Behind them, Elelanena's scream echoed through the darkness. Not grief, rage. But escape was never going to be easy. By morning the hunt had begun. Dogs, horses, guns. The forest became a battlefield, and in the end only the river remained, cold, violent, unforgiving. They stepped into it anyway, because sometimes the unknown is better than the fate behind you. By sunrise they were gone. No bodies, no answers, just silence. Back at the plantation, Elelanina sat alone. Everything she tried to control had slipped through her fingers, and soon even she vanished. Years later, the Whitfield house stood abandoned. Locals swore it was cursed. They said on stormy nights you could still hear whispers through the halls. The blood must mix. And near the river, two shadows standing together, waiting.